This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Hello everyone. So every once in a while I'll get a comment asking me how to create a start with a second planet, and it's kind of hard because I don't have a very good answer that I can just type out on a keyboard in like 2-3 minutes, and I always kind of give some half answer, just like, hey, do this, make a scripted effect, launch it in Origins. But I decided today's the day I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So here's the tutorial on how to create a second starting planet. Also, while I was messing around and starting this question, I ended up creating a whole new mod called Our Second Home, New Origins, featuring second starting planets. It's on the Steam Workshop, and the link is in the description, so go check it out. And what I've recreated here is from that mod as well. So feel free to dissect my mod or other mods to figure out how to make your own. Also, for this tutorial, while I would like to say that it is absolutely beginner friendly, and I would hope an absolute beginner could just jump in and copy the code and get something that works, we do deal with some technical things like scoping, so a little bit of experience is suggested. But without further ado, let's get started. To start, you will need to create a new mod, and you can see there will be a video linked down below for how to do that. And inside of your mod folder, you will need 3 folders, and we'll go through these one by one. First up, Common. Inside Common, you will need 4 folders, and these are Governments, On Actions, Scripted Effects, and Start Screen Messages. In the bottom 3, you will need to put in some sort of .txt file. I recommend following some naming conventions. I did EN for Ezra Nielsen, ONH on our new home. I changed the name halfway through, and then On Actions. It's the same thing for Scripted Effects and Start Screen Messages. The only difference is the Governments folder, because there's more things contained in Governments. So you'll need a folder inside of that one that's Civics, and then ENOSH Origins, and that will contain the origin. Next up, Events. You can just throw a .txt for events, and then Localization. You'll need an English, and you'll need to do a YAML source file. Probably the easiest way to do that is just open a new tab, go to your base game, go to Localization, English, copy, paste it, and we'll just rename it as testing loc English. Whatever you name it, it has to have _L_English. You can just go in, clean everything out except the L English, and there you go, a new folder. But we already created one, so it's not really needed. And that should be everything you need. So to get started, we're going to start with an origin. So I just chose, you don't have to lock it behind an origin. I just kind of decided for air quote balance to lock it behind an origin so you don't have like a really overpowered start. So we did go through all this in our origin modding tutorial series I think it's almost 2 years ago now. But we'll just go over everything again in case you're new here. So Origin, Our Second Home, No Frills. This is part of a larger mod, as you probably already know, so I had to use different naming schemes, but we'll just go with it. So this is this is the thing that tells the game this is a new origin, but this is also a localization key, and I recommend anything related, use the same naming scheme. Is origin? Yes, this is an origin. And then I just borrowed the icon from the Common Grounds and used the Lost Colony picture. You can add your own icons and pictures as you want. And then max once global, yes. Just the way that I have the mod set up at the moment is if you had to spawn, it would create some conflicts with the events, but so let's just not deal with that. How about, and just say like it only can happen once in a game. Description. I have, this is a localization key for the description that pops up. Flags, custom start screen. This tells the game like, hey, this is going to use a custom start screen. Traits, no traits, and random weight, base 5. So if you don't pick it, there is a weight that another empire will. And that is the origin done. So next up, we need an event that will fire when the game starts that creates our second colony. So I have our namespace up here, country event. You have your ID, is triggered only yes, hide window yes. And then in the trigger, we do trigger root. This looks at where it's being fired from. And does the root, which in this case is the country, have origin? And then that's the origin that we picked earlier. So this will only fire if the country has the origin here, which is our second home, no frills. In immediate, first thing we got to do this next part in 2 steps. First, we have to find a suitable planet and save it as an event target. And then we have to fire a string of code that tells the game what we want to do with that planet. So the first step is, if you don't know much about scopes or if you're not familiar, it can be a little bit tricky, but this is what I found has worked. So capital scope. So first, we're looking at our capital. What's our capital planet? Solar system, we're jumping out to, so like a capital could be contained in the solar system. So we're backing out to the solar system. And then a random system planet. So any random system in the planet, so any planet within the solar system that is within the limit of is an uninhabitable regular planet. So all this is doing is it's going from the capital to the solar system and picking a random planet that is an uninhabitable regular planet. This is a built into the Stellaris code to find just any kind of rocky planet. So no asteroids, no stars, no gas giants. And then what we want to do in the is come out of the limit, save event target as our second home. So now we've got a target, but we still need to tell the game what we want to do with it. So solar system, it's going back out. Event target, our second home. This scopes in on the target we picked. And then generate our second home, yes. And that is a scripted effect. This is going to get used multiple times in my mod, so I saved it as a scripted effect. So when generate our second home is yes is fired, what we're going to do is change the PC to the root founder species. So this goes back to, so this is being fired within a country event. So it looks at the country event and it finds the founder species preference. So like if you start with an Arctic world, it'll change that world to an Arctic world. If you like desert worlds, it'll change it to a desert world. If you could somehow if you have like a mod that allows you to have multiple origins, you could pick Gaia seeded and it would do that. But because origins are exclusive in the base game, that won't happen. But you get the picture. Then it creates a colony. The owner is root, is the root country. And the species is the root species, so this is your main species. And then on event target, I don't know why it was a little bit weird. I couldn't just put these in the scripted effect, but the event target, our second home. We generate start pops, generate start deposits and blockers, and generate start building and districts. These are all fired from the start game, but I have moved them into here. And basically this just gets you a number of pops. This generates start deposits and blockers and start building, because different empire types have different buildings and different starters and have different blockers. It's all handled so cleanly in the Stellaris game files, and I just acquired them for my own use. But yeah, when the scripted effect is fired, it takes our target and does all this cool stuff to make it work. Next is on actions. So you want this to be fired on game start country. And in events, you just put down the event. And kind of how this works, on start country, Um, so it's how the on actions are is they take a list of like events, and the on actions will fire, like, let's say on game start country. So when Stellaris starts for the first time, the whole list of events will be fired, and they'll be fired on every country. But because we have a limit set, they are only the ones that meet those limits will be fired. So like this event, Osh event 1, it'll be fired on every country, and it will look at it, and it will only follow through with the event whenever it gets picked. But that's all you really need to know, is that it works. It's a little complicated, but it works. And as long as you have the trigger set up properly, it'll only fire for your selected empire. Next, we need our custom start screen message. You open up with part, location 0. This is just kind of like, so different localization key start screens can have like different parts that can change depending on what your empire sets up is. So like location 1 would be like the first paragraph, location 2 would be the second paragraph. Since this is the only thing we're going to have, you can just put location 0. Localization, this is the line of text. This is your localization key for that line of text. And then trigger has origin our second home no frills. So when that message is looking through, it says, oh, this country has our second home no frills, and puts up this localization key. And then finally, localization, all the text that we need for our mod. So our second home full colony, you can read all this if you want to, but these are all this is like the key we were talking about earlier here. So yeah, that is effectively how you do it. It's quick, it's simple, and it should work. And in the game, we've started, the events already run. So we have our second colony. If you compare it to our capital, it's mostly the same. Just different planet sizes and different resources. So yeah, it works, and that's how you make a second planet start.